finally, things just all started working out. I think it's your good luck, Jen. It's got to be. All right. So I do not have slides for people today, which is not my favorite thing in the world. I really like to teach with slides, but I don't have any slides for y'all tonight. But that's okay. I think, I don't even know if anybody really loves the slides when I teach from them all the time. But I think that I honestly, maybe as people come in the door, are there any hot seat coaching questions that we have? Yeah. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Come on up. Come on down. This is not Wheel of Fortune. What's the other one?
Let's both. Wheel of Fortune, Deal or No Deal.
Say Deal or No Deal? The one where it's like, come on down.
Yeah. No, you know what? Price is right. Price is right.
Price is right. I'm like, everything's so right. These kids will never know this stuff that you just had to watch because you had no choice. Remember that?
Right.
Because that was all that was on TV.
And if you were sick at school, that's what you're watching that day.
Or soap operas.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Oh my gosh, these kids have a very different life than we did growing up.
They do.
Okay, let's jump in with some hot seat coaching. Let's start with that first. But everybody, welcome. If you're just getting in to watch, we're doing Let's Get Funded. I think that money is the biggest always, right? There's other things, but I think I'm just going to do a whole series about money. It's always about money at the end of the day. But Jen has a good question, I'm sure. And then Julianne, if you do, we're just going to start with hot seat coaching, and then I'll start with the lesson.
Awesome. Thank you. So I'm working on getting more employees in the classroom and building. What I did before was $100 a day, but I'm thinking $20 an hour. How does that sound? What are your recommendations?
So there's a few questions that come. So we're in South. So this is, I'm talking and I'm going to talk to you, but I'm also going to talk because other people I know are listening. And if you're here and I don't see you, I'm sorry. But first, I always like to ask, okay, where are we at in the world, right? So South Florida is crazy expensive, obviously, right? We know that. There's also the question around certification. So are we talking about somebody who is certified, or are we talking about somebody who is not? Are we talking about somebody who's going to be assistant and not be the lead teacher? Are they going to have responsibilities like lesson planning? So it's $20. $20 is like average, I think, that I've seen in a lot of microschools for non-certified teachers. Once we start seeing certified teachers, we're looking at the $30, $35 range. So does that sound about does that answer that question?
Yep. Awesome. And then how many kids do you guys have? I was actually just asking you about that today. I'm like, I want to bring in more, but I just want to make this, intentional still. How many kids do you guys have?
Isn't it funny how we're always like that? I hate it when people are like, that's such a good problem to have. I'm like, no, it is not. Honestly, because I hate telling people no. I hate turning people away. But I also really understand the need for keeping things, especially because generally in the microschool space, we deal with kids that sometimes need a little bit more. So we need to be very, very careful about how we do things. Currently, we're really at a 1-to-5 ratio. 1-to-6 is really where we're at. I feel like that is a good, solid place, especially for academics. When we're talking about kind of more hands-on, kind of chill things that are not mathy or, worksheets, things like that, we could do more. Does that answer that question?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Yeah. I think 1-to-6 is fair. I think a really strong teacher that really understands and has been doing it for a long time and knows the kids really, really well, you can easily get up to a 1-to-8, 1-to-10. Then you start getting kind of away from what microschool I think is all about. Not impossible, just not as, once you get to past 1-to-10, it's harder. Yeah.
And then ideas to increase safety.
Oh yeah, I know, because we've been talking about this. And Justine's not here. I know every time, I know you hear this all the time. I'll let her tell the story if she feels comfortable with it. But she said she was coming tonight. I might text her. Safety is obviously, I think, it's the world we live in, right? On the sad side of it, right? But being strategic, every year we have the police come in and do a lesson for the teachers, generally speaking. Also telling us the things that we can fix to make it more safe as well. You can ask the local police department. They generally will do that.
Is that a free service?
It is free. Mm-hmm. Yep. It was free. So they come in, they talk to the teachers. There's also a training called Run, Hide, Fight. I think a lot of teachers do in the regular traditional school, if I'm not mistaken. I think that you can find it like online maybe, but there's like videos about the Run, Hide, Fight thing. Code words. I know you said you already have that, like what to do in that situation. Buddy system is another one that we always try to do, especially if we're out of the building, like make sure that you have your buddy with you. I'm trying to think about any other, obviously like fire drills. If you don't have that, like any drills, there's some good books. There are some good books that talk about, especially, and when you're talking about safety, you're talking about like things that you were, and I don't want to
An
say it out.
outsider, an intruder.
So exactly, an intruder is the best way to put it. But there's books. There are a few good books
Okay.
that you can actually read aloud to the kids that talk kind of in a kid-friendly why we do the things that we do. Just preparing them, obviously drawing the shades in the classroom, darkening the classroom. I try to make it as not scary as possible.
Right.
You know what I mean? More like, hey, like just a person who doesn't belong here. You know what I mean? A person who's not supposed to be in school. What do we do if this happens? This is what we can do if it does happen. I haven't had to do it in a long time.
Can I let you know what happened here? And then, because
yeah, sure. I'll try to give feedback specifically. Yeah.
Awesome. When it's time to like close the door or whatever, I don't even know anymore. I'm just like, I'm curious about what other professionals have and their opinion. So that my area is not fenced in.
Right.
And we were outside last week, and it was during drop off, because drop off's outside, because I love the being outside.
Yeah.
And it was like 9. Yeah, it's so nice out over here. But it was like 9, 10 in the morning, and a person on a bike on the sidewalk far, far away just shouts out, fuck your church. And I was like, the kids were out there. And last year the kids weren't out there, it was just me, and they said, fuck your school. And I was like, it's just me.
You're the same person?
I think it was the same person.
It has to be the same person.
Oh, yeah. And so the police came last week and surveillance the area, and they said it's probably a local. And I asked the officer, Christine, what do you think about being outside for a recess afterwards? She said, I think that's fine. I was like, all right. So what are your, and then at 9, 10, the next morning, I told the parents, I called the police, that there was suspicious behavior, like I was kind of just wanting to like make sure that they know that I did call the police.
Right. You're doing the steps, right?
And then having not dismissal, arrival be inside the next morning and the following morning.
Yeah. I mean, did it happen at the same time last time? Is it seeming like this? Maybe this is a whole different time.
Yeah.
That bites so bad. I mean, those are always so tricky because like you just can't control, like, you know what I mean? Anyone you know what I mean? And you can only do so much. Like in my mind, I would follow, and assume that the police officer is right, that it just seems like there is a possibility it's just somebody who's, probably fed up, has an issue with religion, obviously. I'm like, is there a way that you can even possibly, like, I've had emails that were not very, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing, but never like in person. And even like with people who are unhoused, we've never really dealt with anybody who was being, who was, not being kind. I've seen, I know of teachers that have kind of like said something back to some degree, like, that's not very kind, but then obviously you're risking like engaging, obviously if the kids are not, so there's really, I'm honestly slightly stumped on it, quite honestly.
Yeah.
If we was in a world where we didn't have to, where it was
right,
not, you know what I mean? Where we didn't always have to kind of worry about this looming thing, then, but I think, like, I'm trying to think exactly what I would do if somebody, like, for example, walked up to our school. And
2 days later, we had PE. So I had them do PE, and then I myself took a chair and I just sat out there to see if anyone was going to come by. Then I would have went up to them,
Right,
because I don't have the kids.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, since it hasn't happened again, you know what I mean? Like in my mind, I feel I hate it here. I hate it here. Like, I hate that that you even have to think about something like that, and knowing that the chance of it, because that's where my mind is going to, is I just want to protect the babies if this kind of thing happens. So Leia's here also. She's been a principal forever. So I might just tap you in. I know you're on mute and I know you're driving. Giselle is also popping in, who's also, this is one that I might have to defer to other people as well.
The two other steps that I did, I asked the church if I could place a camera in the front, and then also if I could maybe put up if the microschool and the parents could fund a fence.
Yeah, I mean, fences are definitely, if you don't have one at all, feeling that exposed is a challenge for me, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we're out in public sometimes, so that's always like you feel very exposed, but not having access and somebody has twice, I think a fence is a great idea, especially if parents are willing to fund it, and if you plan on being there for a while, then absolutely, I think a fence is fair. As a matter of fact, you're in Davie? Because in Davie, I thought that it was required for you to have a fence. Oh, you're not, you're at a church. So yeah, there are some places where it's absolutely required. If you're going to have a kindergarten, you have to have a fence for safety of the children, because the children get out. So I would absolutely suggest a fence if you haven't already. I just know that sometimes they're very cost prohibitive.
I know.
And timing wise, that's not going to happen for the next.
I know.
Depending, permits are usually where you run into an issue. Hi, Giselle. My love, Giselle, Jen. I don't know if you've seen Jen's question, but I would love if you have suggestions. Leia too. Yeah, if you can unmute.
I didn't see it. Hold on. I didn't write it, and I'm driving.
Hi there. I was just talking about.
Sorry.
I was talking about safety, but honestly, to me, it feels like I've tried to do all the measures, and I just haven't found anything else that I'm lacking. But I was thinking about putting up a fence because I had somebody that was harassing, and with the kids there, that's not cool.
I know we didn't have a fence at our first. We didn't have a fence, but it was so hidden that nobody really.
Yeah, nobody came back there.
Huh?
I was saying no one came back there.
Right. Right. How do you think you would have handled something like that?
I would have definitely figured out how to put up a fence, or had somebody. In the meantime, is there? If there was anybody extra to put there, like to just kind of patrol per se.
That's kind of what I did when we had PE. I patrolled.
Yeah, I like that answer.
Just during PE.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Do you have any parents that are willing to volunteer?
That's a good question too. Okay.
Ask the parents, because sometimes we get they're stakeholders in it, and sometimes, and Iman talks about it a lot, like how in the beginning, like parents are the ones to get it going. You might have somebody like, oh sure, I'll do this shift or I'll do that shift, and kind of just be in the area and guard patrol.
I was gonna say, the place that you're talking about, is there a place where you can put a sign like almost kind of like, I don't want to say to scare them, but kind of to scare them, like harassment.
I like that. I was like, no, but I'm like a sign, obviously. Like even a children out, like you can get like one of those bifold, the ones the easel type thing, and like, hey, like children are out here. You know what I mean? Like you probably all your kids, I'm assuming, are not all religious or whatever. Like, like please refrain from whatever, and chat can help you kind of with the verbiage. Giselle, that's an excellent answer too. You see,
I'm nervous if that would attract people.
That's not
like saying
sometimes
like
the signs work, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a hard one, man. It's the same thing for us. It's like marketing. It's like, how do you even market with wanting to be safe? Like that's a challenge. Like sometimes you don't want to put a sign, but even if it's a sign of like, like children playing, like please refrain from using certain language, they're not always going to be out there. You can leave the sign out there, you know what I mean? And that way, if it ever is whatever a thing, then at least it's, sometimes they do work. I love the idea about patrolling. I like the idea about signage as well. And just, what I mean? A quick note about why. But yeah, I love those ideas. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. There was something else on the top of my head that I was thinking about. But the fence is definitely a good idea. There's nowhere else for the kids to play, like away from, like outside of that. Hi, Rashina. I'm so glad you made it.
There's like one other spot, but it's so close to a pond and.
Okay, yeah, no, we don't want it. We don't want another safety issue.
Yeah.
Everybody's in their cars
fenced
home.
in.
Oh my gosh. The pond is fenced away. I know everyone's driving home. Yeah, that's a tough one, Jen. Like, I think we're going to have to, I know we've been utilizing the Hive Mind for it. I'm happy to share the post too. And I know you're hiring as well.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. So she's looking for like another teacher as well for the group. But safety, somebody has been kind of harassing, yelling profanities at her children while they're outside playing. So that's been a little bit of a challenge.
Crazy.
So yeah, it is. It's so frustrating, like to even think, like that's what we have to, that's something to deal with.
Sure.
But anyone, if you have any feedback, we're in the group and we're live as well. So people are probably posting in the group as well. Like that's one that I just haven't really come across. And I'm like pepper spray them. I'm like beat them up. Like how dare they like mess with kids? Like that's so messed up. But at the same time, it's like, we have to be extra cautious. So sorry, I don't have some better answers for you, Jen.
No, I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Was that it, my love?
Yeah.
All right. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Is anyone else have any questions for me? Any comments? I know Julian was here. I don't know if he went off camera and I lost him that way or if he is coming back. Let's see.
I'm here.
Oh, hey, do you need me, my love? How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm just listening in the background and trying to wrangle a almost
A
toddler.
baby. Hi, baby.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, that's awesome. All right, cool beans. I thought that you had some questions. All right, so thank you, Jen, for asking questions. I'm going to go ahead and I do have a lesson. I don't have slides for y'all tonight, which actually for me is like totally fine. I am live in the group as well. Thank you, Soleil, for coming. Thank you for coming in live. I love it when y'all come in live because I get to actually see your faces. And we need our community, y'all. Like that's one thing that I'm like really, really starting to recognize is that we need our community. Soleil, everything's okay over there? Any question, comments? Are you back? Are you back?
Am I?
in the building?
No. It's very touch base right now because I actually had a slight fire in my house. So I'm like displaced at this moment. So I'm like, do I need to go back in the building? But I'm trying not to go back in the building.
Oh my gosh, gotta be like,
I was
I'm
like,
saying though, like, I'm knocking on wood. Like, I hope that I'm praying for you. Like, we all can use some prayers, y'all. Like, please. Like,
yes.
I feel like something's happening. Like, the moon has been eclipsing. It's just like been like crazy for everybody. But either way, I'm praying for you. You're still smiling as usual. You're like, yeah, there's a slight fire.
Slight fire, no biggie. But yeah, I just been working on things in the back just to get ready for fall. But no, I'm just listening today and just
okay, my love. All right, yeah, I hear you. Okay, yeah, I think that thank you so much for sharing that. Rashina is here too, and Rashina is like the OG of funding. But I feel like the challenge that not challenge, but what I've noticed is that money is always like, I think money is always like the issue, like funding. So anytime I post anything about getting funded, especially in these schools, people are like, yes, like everything else is like enrollment really attributes to funding, right? And I think that there's been some conversation, I don't want to scare anybody, but since the beginning of the year, everyone was like, a lot of the same grant funding that we were able to access in the beginning of the year is just no longer there. And a lot of programs were being sustainable based off of that. So they were literally using those grants and those funds to kind of continue their school. And I'll be honest, we were as well to some degree. So that puts us in a position that we've had to be, and we're really trying to be very strategic about what's happening next. So I'm going to tell you one of my mistakes. I'm being vulnerable right now. We have never had a 1-year contract at Kind. We specifically did not have a 1-year contract because we really serviced homeschoolers. Now, if you're going to service homeschoolers, I'm just going to go ahead and let you know, like I'm basically a homeschooler. It's really, really challenging to run a sustainable model that is not based off of annual contracts, especially if you're going to be hiring teachers and paying them and trying to make sure that their life is sustainable as well, and things of that nature. So I want to start off with that, just like if you are moving into this, to make sure that you are doing annual contracts. Thank you, Giselle, for laughing at me all the time. Like, how dare you not do annual contracts? So we've had some churn.
I'm not laughing. My friend who owns a private school literally schooled me, and so it's fine. I didn't do it either. I didn't do it either at first. I learned.
Like, I was trying to be, but I have really, this year it really clicked. Like, if we don't do it, then there is that, and you're always going to feel like a bit of so if you're starting and you haven't started yet, you're always going to feel like stressed out, like, oh my gosh, like, you know what I mean? Like, because there will be some, especially with homeschoolers, we get to around November, y'all, and we start getting tired. Like, we start going, Thanksgiving is coming, the holidays, we usually want to take that time off. So knowing that and knowing that you service is making sure. And I spoke with another school founder yesterday, and she was saying something very similar. She was like, listen, she was like, I'm a homeschooler. She's like, and I actually go to a program and it's a year long, and I'm still paying even though my kids are not going, because I signed a year long contract, even if it's not 100%, because that is just the only way that she can make sure that she's stable. And I'm like, okay, that makes total sense. So sustainability is the name of the game. Like I said, I don't have actual slides, but I do have just some talking points. So money in your microschool. This is all about funding your microschool, and just especially with AI, funding is now we're at a point where getting grants and applying for grants is something that we should be able to do. Now, remember, grants are basically free money. You generally do not have to pay these. You don't have to ever pay these back. But sometimes they have stipulations, and they tell you what is allowed and what is not allowed, how many receipts you have to give back, how many you need to do reports that just show data tracking. Sometimes they're impact based. Sometimes they are actual, they want you to scale your program. We've gotten a bunch of grants in the past. Usually the grants have just come to us. At this point, we got to start looking for grants. Getting a grant writer is also probably a good idea from what I've heard. But I'll jump into the exact things that I like to talk about. And if you know a ton about grants, please jump in with me. I'm telling you stuff that I know from the top of my head. And Julian has an after school program, right? You're just getting into it, right? Okay, so if you don't have a nonprofit, generally we're looking at this, right? So, but if you are moving into getting a nonprofit, I know some of us are I think, Saleha, is yours a nonprofit yet?
We're still working on it.
Okay, that's okay. That's all right. Listen, there's everything's being worked on right now. I know Rashina has a nonprofit for sure. And I think Julian's is a nonprofit as well. So you have a lot more access to. No? It's not a nonprofit?
Sure do.
Okay, good. We can't see your face. I don't know why I can't see your face. I'm like, where is everybody?
I was going to say, I'm moving towards nonprofit too. We're in the final stages, literally, one more thing. Been a whole thing.
I love it.
I'll just add really quickly with the nonprofit, we have both. So think about setting up an umbrella model. So it gives you a lot more options as far as money, the school, I say that capital, the school can be the nonprofit. But if you're thinking about making money bigger picture, and Iman, I know Kind Academy does this already, but selling curriculum resources or any of that other kind of stuff to generate all income, then that will fall under profit. So you can still get grant money and nonprofit money under the school entity. But then when you're thinking about your organization as a whole, that opens you up to even different options and more money in that respect too.
Okay. Good to know.
So we actually, and Rashina, did you get your building yet, Rashina? Because I know that we were talking about your building, and I'm just I kind of just want to touch base in that, because I know.
Yeah, we have a different investor now. So our original investor, we were building a building from scratch, and he actually had some health issues, and he's literally had to kind of stop to take care of those. He was taking some experimental medicine and had some reactions, and now he's almost completely paralyzed, waist down. So it's very, very, very unfortunate. But we do have a new investor now. They already have a huge space, and it's already being used as a microschool, but their contract finishes this year. So we'll be stepping in, and then we'll just be responsible for electricity, our part of the electricity and Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So, still a great move.
Can you please, that sounds amazing, first of all. Can you loop us in on how you get these investors? I was hoping somebody like you put in today.
Right now. So I target, I'm literally driving around my area, and I say my area in the bigger sense of Fayetteville and different places, because Fayetteville, our city, is such a huge boom, with the music industry, the movies, all the things that are going on down there. So I don't want to leave that area, because I know there's lots of disposable income and people that are stay-at-home moms that are looking for different educational options or support for their homeschools. So I'm literally driving around and looking for open spaces. And who has open spaces? Churches, community centers, YMCA, things like that. So this particular church that I saw, I didn't even know if it was open or not, because there were never any cars there. It was always empty. So when I contacted the elders of the church, they were like, oh my gosh, we've been looking for this type of thing, because they literally have buildings on top of buildings and a bus. And they were like, boom, that's what we need. So just look at your, community, look at churches. All churches are not looking for a quote unquote Christian school or a school that aligns with their organization, but they are looking to reach out to the community. They are looking to have something that's going to bring people in with the option of spreading, religion or anything like that. So don't be afraid, even if you're looking at a mosque or even if you're looking at, a cathedral or something like that, they want to outreach to your community. The biggest thing is just making sure that your vision aligns, and that doesn't necessarily have to be religious. For me, it is. Our visions do align religiously, but if it was something else I was looking at, it's more of how can we support the community? How can we teach values? How can we do things like this? And how can you help me? Because I don't have any money, but I'm going to bring people in that you might be able to bring people into your church, which would bring both of us money.
Yes. So let me ask you this though. So that's perfect for like finding space. I absolutely agree with you. And I think like I found this, Giselle is in a, no, you're in a charter school. Giselle has one space in a charter school that she opened up a satellite. And I'm talking for you, but you can jump in if you want to. But we're in a church and we found a church and then we had another space. So we passed it. So that Giselle's in that space with her second location. And then her third location, I know, girl, like don't worry. But that's how it works too. It's also like about community, which I think is such a valuable like piece that even I get tired sometimes. But like if I'm in community with other people, like we just start talking and it's like, oh, like she called me up right at the time that I was like, I need somebody to take this over because I can't have two spaces.
Yeah.
Right now. So,
and I was gonna say too, like closed mouths don't get fed.
Yes,
so the reason why I'm in any of these spaces is literally because I'm always talking to people. I literally have people waiting and ready for me to be nonprofit so they can give towards my cause.
Yes.
There's a lot of rich people in Fort Lauderdale, Iman. I'm talking globs of money.
What we're talking about. So that's where my question is going. So we'll just, as people come in, we're talking about, okay, how are we getting investors, right? How are we talking about money? Like, it's like, you know what I mean? Like that's where we
being bold. Listen, being bold enough to ask for it.
Giselle hit it. Closed mouths don't get fed. I learned that from my 20-year-old niece, because I will pay her car note and she has the audacity to put in the group chat, who's going to buy me Starbucks? I'm telling you, these 20-year-olds, no shame. Like, she is right. Giselle hit it. And guess what she put in the chat? Closed mouths don't get fed. But that's their mentality. So we have to embrace being a 25-year-old and ask somebody to pay our car note and then get me Starbucks.
Listen, that literally sounds like my sister. Literally, she's 20 years old. I'm like, the audacity.
They get money at this point. So it's us, like this generation. I know, and I'll still buy it. Like, you're gonna ask me, like, why didn't I get you Christmas? Here's $25. Here's $50 because I feel bad now. But the point is, so when it comes to getting investors, the whole point, what I'm hearing, I think, is like we literally have to like go into these spaces. So you're like, Fort Lauderdale has a ton of money. Are you just like walking up to people? Are you networking? Are you writing letters? Are you emailing? Like, what do you think is a good first step, Rashina?
Email. So the first investor that I had, I was introduced with him from somebody else, a good friend of mine that actually we do some work together. And then when that didn't work out, I was trying to figure out what am I going to do? Because I'm not good at cold calls. Like, I don't like people. I seem social, but I'm really not.
I don't like people. I know that.
Just good at especially asking money, because I think us, our age group, I'll just say our age group, I think we were just raised to be more conservative. That's not things you talk about. You don't talk about religion, you don't talk about sex, you don't talk about money. Like, those are things you don't talk about, and you're definitely not going to ask for it. If you're poor, you're just going to be out there poor and struggling, until you figure it out. So this last one, I reached out to them by email. When I tell you, within 2 hours, they had emailed me back and they were like, boom, we want to be, we're trying to connect with you. And it's pretty much moved, from there. So definitely emailing, because email is a big thing now. I would say connections. I am huge about connections. I'm like, Iman, I just so happened to somebody call me, or just so happened to email, or I just so happened to put it out there to somebody. I have a good friend, Kevin Simpsons. I think you know Kevin, Iman.
know the name. The name kind of sound. First name Kevin
You've
sounds.
probably seen him. Yeah, you probably seen him or seen some of his groups before. But anyway, a lot of times I'll reach out to him and say, hey, do you know somebody? Or I'm looking for this, or I need money. I'm looking for grants or whatever. And he's like, bet, I got it. And he will just put it out there in the network and all the
Right.
things come back.
Okay, I'd like to know him. Yes, if I don't know him yet.
I will connect you too.
No, please. And that's the thing too, is like asking for connections. It's like, yo, like I know this person. Like we need to be able to do that because it's not what you know. It's really truly who you know. And that's why we get less than 2% of the VC capital fund. And we are not getting like the type of funding that a lot of other nonprofits that I see are getting. And we need to really step that up. Thank you so much, Rosina. That's so valuable. Julian, please. Yeah.
Yeah. I know y'all moved on to funding, but I still had a question about space.
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah, are y'all cold calling space? Are y'all going and knocking on every church door?
I have knocked on doors. I have cold called. I have cold emailed. I have done all of that when it came to. It took me like 8 years to find a space. It was. I think I took the longest out of anybody I know to find a space. Yeah, I know that I've probably been through. And the person before me, like Compass Outreach, 42 spaces. Like I remember her letting me know, like she went to 42 different places.
Wow. So it's a numbers game. So I just need to get in the game.
I think so. I mean, some people I've seen get really, really lucky with space. Like I think that especially if you know who you know is a big one. I know you've talked about like charter schools also. Like I really do think that might be something that is a benefit, especially because numbers are dropping even in public schools right now. Some people are looking for partnerships with actual schools because they're going, hey, like they have extra classrooms they're not filling and they need, like some income. So people are partnering with schools, churches, that kind of stuff.
I'm considering this school in a school model, and I'm not sure if there's a big difference between Texas and Florida, but I'd love to hear if there are any common challenges or hurdles with that school in a school model, because you have to think about student safety and you have to think about
safety is the big one. Safety is a big one. Badging is the big one. Who else is in a school? Giselle is in a school. When she gets back on, if she can hear me, I know I know she was driving. But we can really tap her in as well. She has a location that's inside of a school and she'll let you know as well. Some of the things that I was hearing was like cleaning, like who's going to do the cleaning? Who's going to, you know what I mean? Like who manages that kind of thing was a big question. Go ahead, Giselle. I know you're in a school, right?
Yeah, I am in a school. The safety thing. So we're kind of like in our own little section, but it doesn't mean that we don't come across the other student, like the other staff and students. I sit down with the owner of the school and we literally map out a schedule of the day to try to keep things separate. The school already has like the school already had safety features in place, like specific locks. It already had cameras, already had specific things. Now when it comes to like soap, things that you might not think about, like soap, toilet tissue, paper towel, cleaning,
that's not bad though. I know. I mean, I'm in a church, so we share a space with the church. So on Sundays they're there, but we've definitely they really haven't come to us about. And I've been within a school too, and there was like, hey, I got to give you an extra $200 a month or whatever it is. But is that kind of what you're kind of?
I kind of just fill it. Like if there's a need, I just fill it. There's like this unspoken understanding, like if we see it, we fill it, and it kind of works both ways. In terms of the cleanings, there's just 2 classrooms. We go the Montessori approach where the children actually help us a lot with cleaning. And then they already have someone who cleans the whole school. It's not like 2 classrooms is going to make or break them. But we also try to do our due diligence and like taking out the trash, stuff like that. So just not to give them extra things. But these are all things that I spoke with the owner about, and we kind of like laid out on like what we wanted. Like even something as simple as all the staff gets a specific like code to get into the school. So like making sure just different things. Yeah. And I think it's really about having.
What about like lockdowns, things like that? Have you guys discussed?
Yeah. So for lockdowns, because my rooms are closest to the front office, there's great hiding space in the front office, and we go and like, they have to go and hide in there.
Okay.
And we're right next to Sandpiper Elementary, it's like literally across the street. So anytime if like
They
they're
have
on
a
a code
lockdown, they do.
yellow, we're on a code
Yeah.
yellow. If they're
Yeah.
so we kind of go based off of what they're doing.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like get with the person, like get with the founder.
Yeah.
I mean, the owner, whatever. Definitely have discussions around it, and probably even like have like quarterly meetings if you can to make sure that everybody is aligned and everybody's happy and everybody's going.
And also, sorry,
Sharon, no worries.
Yeah. If you have other staff and the like working, make sure that expectations are clearly communicated. And that in the event that there is an issue, that the owner or anyone that works there knows to contact you so that you can talk to your staff.
Yes, I hear you. We have a group chat, but we also obviously have like a direct, but we also have checklists. I love checklists. Like I will literally, even though we haven't but when I was really within another school, we had a checklist on the wall of like what it meant to leave this classroom clean and what it means to leave, you know what I mean? Take out the trash and do like the little things. Cause you'd be surprised how little things, people have different ideas on what is acceptable and what isn't, of course. So
yes.
Even though I think Julian you're in after school, right? So you probably work within schools. It's probably very similar during the day too. Julian, you still there?
Yeah, I am. We come in the after school, but we don't, we just have our normal, let me rephrase. We come in the after school, but we are considered subcontractors or vendors.
That makes sense.
So we just do the enrichment, and we may help with cleanup if we're feeling nice, which we usually do, but we're not ultimately responsible.
After yourself. But yeah, when you have kids all day in somebody else's space, like you are going to see how easy it is, and for them to come in, because what's going to also happen is they're going to come in with and take and play with your materials or whatever. So it's going to be it's a very interesting kind of like setup when you're actually in the space and renting the space from them or partnering with them as well, depending on how they want to do it. Like if you're sharing the space, generally your best bet is like, you don't want to have to move anything out of your space. You don't want to have to shift anything when you leave. Hopefully those classrooms are completely dedicated to you. I've been in spaces where it's both, where I had to move everything. But those are the big things. I think very, very good communication and discussing with each other is obviously the way to go.
Huge.
Any specific questions around that, Julian? Or was that kind of what you were thinking along those lines? Or was there? Julian, can you hear me?
I'm just curious about the process, I guess. I am still looking for space for my private school, which is different than the after school work I do through my nonprofit. So earlier we were talking about this for-profit, nonprofit hybrid. I'm setting that up right now with my for-profit coming online next.
That's what we have too.
And how to go about doing that has been the journey.
Yeah, that's a lawyer. There's no journey. There's a lawyer that has to handle that for sure. Like, please don't try to do that by yourself, only because like that is like one of the big things that lawyers really should be doing. And then it's a disregarded entity is the way that our lawyer set it up. So that the LLC runs under the nonprofit, or you can just have a nonprofit and have a for-profit, and that's totally fine as well.
Yeah, I think you had a slide where you recommended a lawyer or two, so I may need to pull that back up.
Yeah, I'm happy to share it with you. It's also in the course that you should have access to. Happy to share that with you too. If you send me an email, I'll send you a link, and then you have access. It's a link called "Who We Use" is the link that you're looking for. Gotcha. And that has a list of everybody that I suggest. But yeah. Okay. Lawyers. That's like when I work with a lot of lawyers, like my coaches actually are a lot of lawyers. And I'm always like, why? Like, why do we have to do all this stuff? I just want to do it. I don't know what this is. But yeah, I hope that answered your question a bit, Julian, but I'm always happy to answer more. I know Zena asked a question in the chat as well, and I don't want to forget you. Question for later, so I don't forget to ask. When is the next cohort? Oh, that's a question that I love to answer. So we've actually moved it to being a little bit different because we want to be able to accept people kind of on a rolling basis. So coming up this month, we will open it again. I think October 20 something is the next opening that we will have another group entrance. But People can come in kind of like on a rolling basis as well. We have a big opening for October, for the 3rd week in October, actually. So you can have her reach out. If she's already done the type form, then she can do that. That gets her application pushed up right away. And then I'll be able to reach out and let them know when we're doing like our first few meetings and things like that. Great question. All right. So I think that's it on questions, y'all. Let's go ahead and jump into the actual lesson. I will share my screen. If you have any questions specifically, feel free to pop them in the chat. I will look. I don't have an actual slide presentation, which I love to have slide presentations, but I don't tonight. But I'll quickly go through some of this stuff just because I feel like it's stuff that we talk about, but then we kind of forget or we don't talk about anymore. So obviously money is probably the most important like part of your mission. Like obviously believing in what you do is so important. But if there's no money, then it does not move, right? So money is needed in what you do. And please, please, please don't be like every other microschool owner I find. I kind of know microschools cost a lot more money than a lot of people realize, depending on how you do it. Obviously, you could do it out of your house and you can keep it very, very, very low cost. But generally speaking, if you're in a building and you are hiring staff, it's a service-based business. Usually funding, like people don't even want to fund those things. Like venture capitalists don't even want to fund service-based business. They want to they want to fund products. They want to fund things that are easily scalable. And microschools are scalable, but they have a lot of challenges that come along with them. And money usually solves those challenges or prevents those challenges. So be prepared. I tell people all the time, I get surprise tax bills. I get surprise band bills. I get surprised, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even want to say the word plumbing, but you always got to be prepared. So having like stashed money is really important. Historically, schools have said, oh, we are going to take grants and that's going to fund, you know, the gap that we generally will have, and also have PTAs, like parent teacher associations that will help fund things like Jen was talking about earlier. Those things are all well and good, but there is still work that goes into that. So if you're already doing a lot of work in a microschool and you're already very slim kind of staff, then that's going to take energy and time as well. Even having parents and asking parents and expecting parents to kind of do things, you still want to communicate with them. You still need to spend time kind of talking with them about what you need and things like that. So it still is a very time consuming process. Okay. But okay, let's talk about kind of grants funding. Okay. Donors and investors give to confident founders. I always talk about like how I did, like when I got the YAS prize, I absolutely did not even, I really did not expect it. One of the conversations that came up was like, you know, like what will you do if you don't win the $1 million was the number. And I was like, I'm still going to keep doing what I do. And I'm still going to make, you know what I mean? Like I'm still going to make sure that our business, you know, goes on. And she was like, that was what won you, like your next step, because you had so much confidence in your mission. And I knew, like everybody knows, like that you're going to continue doing this no matter what, with or without whatever funding that people are going to give you. But either way, like being confident about it, and not overly confident, but like knowing what your mission is and knowing what your vision is really important to funders too. Impact metrics are also a really, really big thing. Data is so important. I think as teachers, we understand that, especially if we've been in the public school or charter school world, data is so important. We're doing a lot with data this year. Justine does a really great job. She did something called an impact report. It doesn't even have to be about the number of students. It could be about how happy are the students. It could be about the attendance rate of the student. It could be about the happiness of the parents. Like these are also impacts. So even if you're only funding 13, 15, 20, 30 kids and you're like, oh, well, my number, and you're also not thinking about scaling, because scaling is great. But I'm kind of trying to tell people like, you don't have to scale. Don't feel like that's the only thing you need to put into your grants is that you want to see yourself in 50 other sites, because in all reality, like 50 sites is a lot. 4 sites is a lot. So don't feel like you need to like give the whole, I'm going to build 5 different, you know, buildings or whatever it is, or I'm going to double my number of students. Sometimes that is what people want to see, but that takes a lot more work sometimes than the money that funders are actually trying to provide. Okay. So I'm telling you that from experience, y'all. All right. So be clear on how your microschool changes lives. Super important. Totally. You can do that through chat. Some of the grants that I'm seeing, and I want to start, I know that most of us has probably already got the Vela. Vela had 1 or 2 different levels. Stand Together is another one that has given money. YAS Prize is another one. YAS Prize, I think, is open. If they're not open, then they're going to be open soon, I think. I started seeing some stuff about it. The Walton Family Foundation is another one. Skip grants, I've seen those coming up. I follow something called Our Village United, where they are posting about grants regularly. I try to get on grant lists, even if I'm not applying for them. When I have a moment, my big goal is to start applying to 2 grants per week. Okay. Instrumental is another one that I really have liked. It is a little bit pricey, but it basically like finds grants for you and then organizes the list for you. But I started looking at that. Grant Watch is a little less expensive and it does the same thing. So starting to look at grants, and I was talking to Jade, teacher Jade. She used to call herself the 6-figure teacher. She's probably way above that now. But she's like, she's like running a podcast. She's about to open a school. And she's like, like grants, and we are probably some of the only people that don't look at grants or venture capital funding and go, hey, like I need to use other people's money to kind of build this mission. And because people have money and they want to fund these missions and they don't have time to do these things. So getting really comfortable with saying, hey, like I have this amazing mission and we need money is a very normal thing that other people that are in this world are doing. So be okay with doing that. We know we've seen Primer got millions of dollars. KaiPod has gotten millions of dollars. A lot of these kind of programs that have accelerated their growth have gotten tons of money by walking in and asking for it, and by going to like conferences and talking to other people who have it. Okay. Donors are out there. Foundations are out there. Sponsors. As a heads up, we're also coming up, I think, I only have about 7 minutes, so I'm going to talk really fast. But Giving Tuesday's coming up. That's basically like one day out of the year when people are really, remember, as a nonprofit especially, they can write off what they give you. And a lot of people who make a ton of money at the end of the year, they want an opportunity to write off money in some way, somehow. So you saying to them, hey, like, this is what we're looking for. Like, we need this amount of money. They might need to fund something so that they don't have to pay a crazy amount in taxes at the end of the year. They'd rather fund something and save some money on their taxes. And all they really need is your nonprofit like letter and your EIN. And then you just basically say what it's for, and then they can fund you. They can give you some money. I am really looking for recurring sponsors or funding that will give us regular amounts of money to fund scholarships for students in our program to help with that. Okay. But that's the way that I'm kind of looking at it. Okay. So we talked about grants. We talked about all that. For-profit. So for-profit, you're not really looking at grants, even though, like, for example, the YAS Prize gives to for-profits. VELA does actually give to for-profits, even though I felt like I heard that they were moving to want to do more nonprofits. But venture capital is very, very kind of the big thing. Definitely dig into what venture capital is if you're comfortable with it. That's the way a lot of for-profit, especially microschool founders, are moving towards. Impact investors, revenue-based loans are out there. Stand Together has something like that coming up. Kiva loans I've donated to a Kiva loan. Kickstarters are out there as well. Paid programs, courses, curriculum licensing. Obviously, these are kind of like cash injection. All right, so where to find some grants? Instrumental, and I could share this doc with everybody too at the end if you want it. Instrumental, Skip is a cool little website. It seems like it could be a little bit pricey, but it's so cute the way that it works. Like, it's all like AI generated. I like it a lot. Grant Watch, like I said, is another searchable database. The YAS Prize is coming up. VELA, Stand Together. You can follow grant pages on Instagram, like I said. How to use AI. So if I was going to do this all over again, I would put my mission, vision, values, and everything else into basically a project in chat and say, hey, this is all of our documents. Like, and then whenever I had a grant that I wanted written, I would go into chat and I would say, hey, this is the grant that I'm writing for, connect it to what we do and ask for whatever it is. And that's generally the way that I would do it through chat. Personalized narratives, things like that. These are all different kind of tools for AI. I personally really only use ChatGPT at this point, which is probably not. But every time I use chat, I'm very, very clear about like making it sound like me. I'm deleting M dashes. I'm making it sound like real. You know what I mean? Like, I don't just go in there and just copy and paste. I read through it. I edit it. I change it to fit my tone so that it sounds more like me. Okay. But here are some prompts that can help you. We do a lot of equity, and I know equity is like a tricky grant at this point, but there are still companies right now, even on Instrumental, that I looked at that are literally just funding equity initiatives. So that makes me feel really good. Like, I know that I'm making, you know what I mean? Like, it's not horrible out there. So some of the impacts. So you don't have to feel like you're scaling. Like I said, academic growth, learner attendance, parent satisfaction, teacher retention, Partnerships with local organizations. Those are some impact metrics that attract money as well. Numbers plus stories equal a funding magnet. So if you are not a mathy person like me, get somebody on your team who is a mathy person and see if they are willing to help you write an impact report. You can also pop it into chat and have it help you generate an impact report. But start taking data, start taking beginning of the year, start getting surveys. We do monthly surveys in our school with our students and our teachers. Start tracking that data. You could just have a regular Google form and pop that into chat and say, aggregate this data for me, and then allow yourself to make it really pretty and colorful, and then have a cute impact report that helps with sending it out for grants and things like that. Venture capitalists want scalable, tech-enabled models usually. Impact investors want measurable community outcomes and ROI. A pitch deck is always good to have. We got sponsors for KindCom last year, and we did a 10-slide pitch deck, and that's actually how we got OutSchool to sponsor us. Basically, problem, solution, traction, and ask is usually the method, but Canva has a ton of pitch decks that you can send out, okay? Oh, Jen is back. So that's another thing that you can do. And you could just send, like, if you're sending cold emails, you can send cold emails that way by like having a pitch deck and sending that to people. Use Gamma. I used Gamma the other day for a slide, and it was gorgeous. I don't know about Beautiful AI, but Gamma app was really lots of fun to use. And I think that is, you literally put in a prompt and it just generated it for me. Okay, right now we're kind of at a point in the year where I feel like people are really finding their footing, or they're really realizing like how much cash flow they might need extra. So some cash injection ideas. Mini camp. So we're coming up, start thinking about winter camp. I don't know if I'm doing a winter camp, y'all. But if you are doing a winter camp, now is the time to start promoting it. Okay, I know we're only in October, but the moment October 1st hit, you start seeing people start sharing about mini camps. Mini camps are a great way to also get people in the door. Summer camps, spring camps, day off camps, things like that get you a little bit of money in the door. Offer family PD or homeschool support sessions. I used to do homeschool classes and coaching, definitely a way to make a little bit of extra money. Curriculum is something that I really love selling on Teachers Pay Teachers. Partner with local businesses for sponsorships. This personally has not really worked with local for me, but some of the bigger ones, like you can ask some of the bigger programs if they are willing to kind of like, you'll put their card on the table or you'll send it in their newsletter, and you'd be surprised that they'll be like, oh yeah, we're looking for that. Donation drive is good, or sponsor or learner campaign is good too, like on your Facebook or whatever it is. October goal, think about one revenue generating offer before November 1st, okay? Your monthly funding checklist. Apply for at least one grant, build your donor investor list. So the way that I'm doing this is I'm actually going into Instrumental. It is $300 a month, but you get a 14-day free trial. I'm going into Instrumental. I'm basically copying and pasting all the different grants that they're going to give me, and then I'll see if I want to continue with them. But either way, I'll have at least 10 different grants that I can think of, okay? You can also build your donor or investor list. Sponsorship or scholarship campaign is a really good idea. Automate alerts for it. Skip emails me every time a new grant comes out that aligns with what I do. We are doing at least one community or parent event, because that keeps the community talking about what you do. It's always good to have. I'm not going to go too much into AI managing your finances, but I really like QuickBooks, as you know. Storytelling. So your story is your strategy. Donors invest in emotion. So they like to hear the stories behind it. Tell me about that kid. Like, one of my favorite stories is that kid that I had an 8th grade student who was only in 2nd grade in math. And I worked with her for 6 months. And by the end, she basically was crying because nobody had ever supported her like that. And she was able to at least get up to 5th grade math by the time we were done within 6 months. That is a huge deal. She felt confident with where she was. And everyone else had just basically kept pushing her forward. And she never has somebody stop and like actually fill the gaps that she was missing. That's an emotion. Families, donors like, oh, this is great. This is something that I could do. Learner stories, quotas, and outcomes. Create a 60-second reel or post about your impact each month is a good idea. From surviving to thriving, diversify your income, grants, partnerships, and products. Set aside 10 to 15%. I talk about reserves all the time, guys. We need a profit margin. You need a cushion. You absolutely, absolutely, absolutely need a cushion. And I know that sometimes feels like our profit margins are so thin, but you got to start building it in. Even if you build in a 5% at first, and then bringing it up to 10%, and then bringing it up to 15%. And please, annual contracts. Don't do like me. and not have annual contracts, have annual contracts. Try to automate recurring donations or memberships. Monthly recurring revenue is huge, okay? And then think 3 years out. A lot of times we're thinking about next year. Think about 3 years out. What is your rent going to look like? What is your income going to look like? What is it going to be like with the goals, projected goals? Think long term. What does financial stability look like to you? Maybe this year, like honestly, this year I'm kind of like, okay, we're going to kind of be right at our profit margin. And that's okay because I know for next year, we're going to absolutely have like this happening and that happening. And that's going to make sure that we are building an incredibly long-term sustainable model. We have scaled so much so quickly. Sometimes that leaves us with, like a little bit more of a shortfall than I love. But I know that coming up, we were in a growth phase. We're going to be in a stable phase. And that is a beautiful thing for me. Okay. All right. Case study. We've talked about like we've gotten Stand Together. We've gotten a few different things. That's kind of it, y'all. I'm going to end there, or at least stop my share there and start wrapping up because I do actually have a family meeting tonight, y'all. But that's kind of it for me. Does anyone have any questions on any of the content that we talked about tonight? Hi, Zena. Did I not know you were having a baby? Did I know you were having
Hi. Yeah, we had a whole baby.
Congratulations.
Say hi.
Amazing.
Oh,
my
looking out the
gosh.
window. Say hi.
Hey. Oh my God. How old is he?
No, you're not the only one who didn't know. It was just
Okay, I know you're like, we private over here.
we're old at this point, and okay, they'll see him when he get here.
How old is he? How old is he?
2 months, almost 3.
Oh, he's a big boy.
Getting there.
I love it. Look at him holding up his head. All right, I love it. I don't even wear babies, so like, sorry.
Girl, me either. This is it.
You're so cute though, but not for me.
Yeah.
I love it for you though. I love that for you. I love it, y'all. Anyone else? Any other questions? I would love to say goodbye to everybody. It was so nice seeing your faces. Thanks for coming. You know that I'm here if you need me. And tell your friends about Launch Your Kind. We are opening another one coming up. I also teach people how to scale and how to build like legacy revenue to last a lifetime. Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Thank you.
Welcome. Bye, Julian. Bye, Regina. Bye, Saleya. Bye, Giselle. Bye, Zena. Bye, Jen. Bye, Maria. Thank you so much for coming. Bye, y'all.
Bye. Thanks.
You're welcome. Bye, y'all.